Mike Sabin.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. Yesterday, sir, I think we saw a couple of the best own goals that this country is probably ever likely to see, sir. One of them was, I saw on the network news, a Peruvian soccer team, by fate, as it were. Both teams were coloured, one in red, one in blue, sir. And there was a cross to the midfield, right in front of goal, and the player, as fate would have it, in the red shirt, sir, turned to his own goal, faced only with the goalkeeper, sir. He kicked it immediately into his own goal, not realising, of course, that it was in fact his own goal, and what he'd actually done was scored a goal for the opposition. So that was held up as probably one of the greatest own goals in history. But I think we could ask ourselves, was it really? Because as fate would have it, sir, on that very same day in this very house, sir, we saw the leader of the opposition, one David Shearer, kick what could only be considered to be an amazing own goal of his own, sir. And that was when he stood and had a very similar brain fade standing in front of his own goal mouth, when he stood and asked confidently of the Prime Minister, had he or any of his staff asked the Labor Party himself or other members of the Labor Party to engage in broader conversation and support for the GCSB bill, sir. The Prime Minister, leaping to his feet, no doubt feeling sorry for the opposition leader who was standing in his own goal mouth about to kick his own goal, said, "Do you seriously want me to answer that question?" Or words to that effect, sir. To which David Shearer rises back to his feet and even more confidently asks exactly the same question. And that question, sir, was answered by the Prime Minister when he said, "Well, actually, yes, I have done. We met after I invited, after..." Well, stand up and say that. Sir, Mr Shearer himself conceded later, actually, in his speech that was exactly the case, because he then went on to say, ask about the conversation that he denied having in the first place. So anyway, standing in front of his own goal mouth, and he asked the Prime Minister, have we ever had any conversations? The Prime Minister says, absolutely we did. We snuck up the stairs to avoid your brothers in arms, Russell Norman over there in the Green Party, makes their way up to the Prime Minister's office, has a 30-minute conversation, in which time, sir, the Leader of the Opposition, Mr Shearer, says, let's just keep this on the down low because it wouldn't be a good look, and I wouldn't want you, Prime Minister, to be shouting it out around the House, sir. And then he comes into this House and asks the Prime Minister, has that conversation ever occurred? And I think when it comes to own goals, there can be no greater own goal, there can be no greater example of brain fade than that member who would have himself be the Prime Minister, of this country, who can't even recall having a conversation with the Prime Minister about something. But at least the Peruvian goalkeeper actually had the dignity to publicly apologise for what he had just done and what he had got so wrong. Whereas the Leader of the Opposition, David Shearer, goes straight out onto the black and white floor, stares down the barrel of a camera and says, oh, I told the Prime Minister to keep that secret. Strange that, because he was just asking a question 20 minutes earlier in the House about that very same thing. Sir, if there's ever been an own goal, that is a very good one, sir. And while this is all going on, of course, what is this side of the House getting up to? Well, we're doing what we were elected to do, what Kiwis placed their faith in us to do, and that is to manage the government's finances, to ensure that we're building a more productive and competitive economy, to deliver better public services and to rebuild Christchurch. Sir, and we're making fantastic progress across all those scores, sir. What we see from the opposition is Grant Robertson, who seems to be the tail wagging the dog, all right, well, come up with a different line. You're going to have to renew the material, Mr Clark. Because Mr Robertson is all about the conspiracy theory around GCSB and Andrea Vance. Kiwis care not about that. What they've seen is a manufacturing sector improve. What they're seeing is this economy growing at a faster rate than any other economy in the world. What they're seeing is economic performance, and that's what they want to see. Meanwhile, Mr Shearer's out there, his latest is Snapper. Comes in here with a bit of show and tell, a couple of dead Snapper. Well, I've got news for Mr Shearer, because he shouldn't be concerned about Snapper, because it's not the Snapper that's dead in the water, it's that member and that member's party, dead in the water.
Point of order, Jami-Lee Ross.
Mr Speaker, during the speech of Mr Sabin, a member of the opposition was using some terms which clearly are unparliamentary, and can I ask that you consider asking him to withdraw and apologise to Mr Sabin?
Order. I know the remarks the member is referring to. On the occasion, he wasn't accusing anybody of being a liar. He was simply saying that's a lie. It is a robust debate. I don't think on this occasion it was out of order.
Mr Speaker.
Annette King.
Mr Speaker, we have had the truth of the week today. We've had